Alright guys, this is Void of Dust Gaming and I have some special for you today. We are going to talk about Arduin, and this is going to be a beginner's guide where I am talking in depth about my favorite hero, and you can see him here with the Hellfire skin. That means we are going to talk about the equipment that I use, we are going to talk about the Arcana that I have equipped, and we are also talking about the new enchantments, and I have been doing something special for that, as I have created the first hero with the enchantments that I found to work best with him. Without further ado, we're going to jump into that right now, but let me just mention one single bit. That is, this is my guide on Arduin, and this is some guide to address to beginners. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the best guide in the world. I'm not claiming that for myself. I just found that Arduin works quite well with the equipment and stuff that I have in petto for him. And let us check. We are going to talk about the equipment at first. This is the standard build that I'm using. I have the Gilded Greaves here. You can switch them for the Sonic boots as well as for the Hermes Selected. All of these three boots are fine on Arduin. You don't need anything else. I just found that the Gilded ones are with the built-in resistance of 35%, something that I can work well with. If you face many characters based on attack damage, switch them out for the Sonic boots because that gives you the reduced attack damage. And otherwise, if you have a lot of CC, go for the resistance because that's gonna help you a lot. It's not about the magic defense, it's about the resistance. The second item is the Mantle of Ra, and from the equipment choice, I always go for Heart of the Incubus first. That's the first item that I'm gonna build, and then I'm going for the boots, and afterwards I'm maxing the Heart of the Incubus to become the Mantle of Ra. Mantle of Ra is a great item. It gives you armor, it gives you HP, and it gives you HP per second, which is regenerating that stuff. The next item that I'm using is, and I will sum up why I use all these items as some kind of verdict after I explained everything, guys, so don't be too hasty. That's cooldown speed reduction. It gives you some armor, and the most important thing, it gives you some HP, and the unique passive elemental power is great because it reduces movement speed and deals additional physical damage in a 3-second cooldown way to enemies. So this enhances both your output as well as making you a little bit more tanky. Next item is the Gaia Standard. I prefer that one in this build over the Medallion of Troy, as it gives you a crazy amount of HP, it gives you more movement speed, and you have the HP recovering that you have with that item. The other item would be this one, cooldown speed reduction, more magic defense, and you get a shield that absorbs magic damage. But I always take the Gaia Standard if I have a lot of AP damaged heroes such as Ignis and stuff like that, who do a lot of small scaling damage. So not the big bursty ones, but let's say you've got Liliana pokes a lot, you've got Sephara pokes a lot, you've got Ignis pokes a lot if he's not using his ult. Doing small scale damage is that one, and I would go with Medallion of Troy if I'm facing the Magangas of this world or the Veras. Vera can unload crazy amounts of damage in a really short time, but I go with Gaia Standard as it complements this build quite nicely. Then I go for the Hercules Madness. This is the only item that you see in this build which gives you a little bit more attack damage. Otherwise, you're going to get a shield when your HP is below 40 seconds, and that's crazily good because you will have a lot of shielding capacity because that build is all tweaked around HP. And last but not least, I've got the Blade of Eternity, which is the filler. It is the last item that you're gonna complement. Otherwise, you could go for the Mail of Pain. You could go with Yoga's Edge, or you can also do Longevity. It doesn't really matter. Like, you're not gonna have the last item in most of the fights anyway, so don't be that scared about it. So that's the armory, that's the equipment that I'm using. And as soon as you see the Arcana that I'm using, you will understand what kind of build this is. Arcana that I'm using on the AD tank, that's how I called it, is the Indomitable. with more armor, more max HP, and more attack speed. That's like the tanky red rune. I'm using Benevolence with max HP, movement speed, and the HP regeneration. And to have a little bit more damage output, I'm using Skewer. And if you check out what I do get from this, is I get more movement speed, I get more attack speed, and foremost, the most important value in this single treat is the max HP, which is benefited by 780, which is crazily good. So if you take the equipment that I've shown you, and if you take the Arcana that I've shown you, you will understand this is all about getting the most HP as possible while still maintaining a little bit of attack damage and armor pierce. That's what the skewer is here for. And with that, you are completely exhausting your second ability, which gives you more shield the more HP you have. And you will see in the video, I've got some gameplay prepared for you. You're gonna see in the video how crazily good Arduin is in team fights because of this shield capacity and the enchantments that I'm using. And let's talk about the enchantments right now, because that's the last bit of the introduction of the video. We're going to see some gameplay shortly. I've taken the Avatar over the Lokheim because you should be as tanky as possible. You're the main tank of the team. You will still deal tremendous amounts of damage, trust me, because you will stay in fights pretty long, and I'm going to prove it with the video that's coming up. I've taken the River Treader just because it gives you more HP and mana over seconds. You can use any of these, you can use the Tower Blessing as well, but I find myself to be a lot out in the open, running around, ganking around, doing stuff with my ultimate, where I can get to enemies fast by using that as a gap closer. I love Nature's Gift. It's crazily good on Arduin because it gives you 8 HP up to a maximum of 100 stacks every single time something dies around you, and you will have 800 more HP. Plus the 700 HP that you get from the mana is 1500 HP just by passive stuff that's going to happen throughout the game. And of course we're using Natural's range because I have read it and it's just sounded that this is going to be something that's going to be complemented by Arduin's skill set pretty nicely every time you do something to immobilize, and Arduin has that a lot with his stun, with his knock-up, with all the gear that he uses in his natural ability kit. This is just perfect. Otherwise, use the explosive shield. That's gonna be something that's quite well. I don't think that you need the Forest Wanderer at all. And I've taken the mana refill because I feel that I'm spamming a lot of stuff. So every time something hits 8% mana, that is something that I found on the game that I've been playing. I have never been out of mana, go into retreat, and I use some armor or magic pierce as well, basically because I think the other ability is not as strong as that. You can go with the red rune as well, but it doesn't really matter. I have taken this and I found it to be quite nice in my experience. So this is basically the guide that I wanted to talk about. At first, we're gonna go and talk about his abilities right now, and then afterwards I'm going to show you some gameplay. So the first one is every single time your HP follows below 50% and you take further damage, you kind of get HP back, and you have to attack while doing that. So it's pretty important that you stay in fights, and with the shield from the Hercules Madness, you can do that quite well, and otherwise you're gonna absorb lots of stuff because you've got shitloads of health. So this is just a passive that's kind of, you have characters where you need to exploit the passive. For example, Tulin is some of those characters. With Arduin, it comes more while you're fighting, so you don't have to pay that much attention to it. Second one is Rend. The first ability, is Rend. You swing your axe doing damage, and you're slowing the enemy, which is quite important. And after that, you're doing physical damage, and you knock up enemies into the air. So it's the first hit that slows, and it's the second hit that kind of knocks into the air. And with that, your the third thing of your avatar is triggered, and that's quite nice. And now we come to the bread and butter Undying Protector. That's like the only thing that you are using all the time. You get 12% of your own maximum HP as a shield for 5 seconds. You deal additional damage, And every time you doing that, your next 3 attacks deal additional 100 true damage. So you want to activate your shield and you want to damage things, you want to beat things up, and you want to be in fights. This is not something that you use protectively, that's just something that you use offensively, because you will have the shield. So every damage that you take on lane is damage that goes into the shield, that's not going to harm you. And in addition to that, you have plenty of regeneration tools within your toolkit because of Gaia Standard, because of every single bit that you've seen that I've showed you before. So this really sums up to being one of the heaviest tanks throughout this game. And another lovely item, another lovely ability is called your ultimate. You throw your axe into a direction, you are dealing damage, you are stunning, which also triggers a Fata, and after that you will be in the place. So your ideal combo scenario will be that you use Cool, because Cool is every single time you damage something with your auto attacks, Cool's cooldown is reduced, which is great. So you will cool in, you will use cool in as gap closer to go in, you will use your 1 or your 2, and then you will unleash every single bit that you have, and I'm gonna show you that in the next video, and we will hop right into the game, so be prepared for that. And here we go, guys. As I said, this is gonna be the game that I've been playing, and I'm gonna explain some of the stuff that I'm doing in this video to make things clear. So at first what I've done is basically I buy boots to be a little bit faster, and I wasn't sure who I would go against. I had a guess that it would be Emily, because Emily is usually the top tier guess in terms of the solo lane. And I just figured out that I'm going against Morin and at the same time, which brought me to the fact that I have been playing quite passive at the beginning while still maintaining some aggressiveness. Because, and that is important for you guys, as I said, all of the abilities and everything around that is tweaked so that you have much HP, much more HP than usual, and you have the possibility to regen a lot of that. And you can see it right here, that icon is on from the enchantment that I have been using. And look at that scene. I'm not only able to kind of get away with this, but I managed to do almost half of the damage to this Morin, and he is being an idiot because that was basically his self-sacrifice. As I said, I always go for the heart of the Incubus, and then later on I go for the boots, and I've been taking the guild grease right now in this video. And this is a montage, so the things will be cut a little bit. That's because the video was entirely long, about 20 minutes, and I did not want to have you guys in that video with a lot of things that were unnecessary. But look at that. You can be quite cocky, especially if you play Arduin with his shield up. I would always advise you guys to level up the shield at the first level, like the first level, and then I would go with the 1, and then afterwards I would max my shield. And this is so unfortunate. If Linus would have gone to that fucking bush, she would have doubled the damage of her shit, and we would have been able to kill them with me unharmed, and I would still have been alive. Like, that was... Know your guys, know your stuff, and everything will be alright. So I'm at level 6 right now. I've got my ulti, as you said, have seen in the video in the take before. And I'm ahead a little bit in terms of the levels, which comes due to the fact that I'm leveling here alone. I do get all the experience points, where Morin and have to share that. That's great for my... And I already have 38 stacks that come from the passive. And remember, as I said before, you do get 8 HP for each of those stacks. So I will have around 300 extra life right now. And Morin again, like, he did not learn anything from the past. And here comes the combo. I go in with my ult, I activate my 1 just once, I activate my 2, and then I reactivate after everything has cleared and I know where the enemy have moved. That is the perfect combo. You want to do ult, you want to do 1, you want to shield with 2, and you want to do 1 again. And you will see me doing that a lot of the time. Not in this video, it is situational. But from my perspective, that's the best combo. And right now, I went into this fight and I will die because I wanted my team to get that stupid tower. Unfortunately, all the enemies were here as well. They gathered quite well, and so we weren't able to get that tower. That's unfortunate, but the idea behind it was to get that tower firsthand and to basically get the middle tower, which is one of the most important ones. So, another scene, another fight. I'm on 5-2 right now, and we are at that tower. I'm sacrificing Linus here, or I do not really sacrifice, I just use it to show you guys you can use your ult as some retreat mechanism as well. It's the only thing, the only ability technique that you can use for doing something like this. All your other abilities are not able to trigger it. I misused my exhaust here, and I have been aware of the fact that Talanas was coming in. We have killed their tank, and this is like, look how much now health I get back from that shield. And if Talanas would have been a little bit closer, eventually we would have killed all of them. But she riles up, and as you can see, the team is still on that tower above. Everything's all right. I go with Hercules Madness before I have taken Gaia's. That's important, and that's what I wanted to show you here in this take, because the only person on the enemy team right now that does a lot of damage is Vera. I haven't encountered Vera quite much, so I figured out I would go with the Hercules Madness to have a little more extra punch, and that was the reason why I took them beforehand. That wasn't the best ult, but I'm able to defeat someone else, and I don't know why, but right now I started to follow the butterfly, and that wasn't cool. Like, as you are, oh, this is gonna be huge, guys. Look at that. This is gonna be an epic team fight. I am the tank, and I have been dealing with two people. I've been dealing with Thane on the one hand, and I've been dealing with Vera on the other hand. So my job is done. And unfortunately, my whole team gets wiped. Even while we had another tank with Lumbur. But this is going to be the quad kill. So it always repeats itself. It's always the same structure. You just want to use your shield and you want to do as much damage as possible. There's no need in running away with Arduin if you have level 10 or level 11 and you are being quite fed, and you know that you can win this fight. Against Thane as a tank, I wouldn't do it. But as you can see, I feel quite brave and I feel quite cocky, and I thought that I was able to steal that golem. Using this brush here a bit as some kind of advanced tactics. I have Morin here. I decide to go with Morin. He gets killed by Talanas, which is quite nice. And now we are following up that Vera, and I'm completely cool with the fact that I can tower dive and I can jump in. So you can use your ult for various purposes. Your ult is super strong, and you have so many control effects. Like, look at that. Another dead Emily, 13-3, everything goes quite smooth, so I'm good with that. Next scene will be, I'm going in here, now Morin comes up, and I will retreat, because you have to take towers, and I always use my shield as, I use my 2 to do more damage to the tower. I don't know if I was killed. Yeah, I was killed, but now I'm coming back. And I do go right into the fray. Thane does a really good job on getting us away here. The guys are able to back off quite easily. But again, I'm using my ult, stun, and Telenas is here, able to do much damage. 14 kills for me right now. And there's no need to go into the tower as we already have it. But I think the procedure is quite clear. You just want to use your ability to maximize the effect that you have from auto attacks, but you do most of the damage with auto attacks because that is what you're gonna do. And look on how tanky I am. 3 characters are fighting against me. I do get some life back, I do get some shield back, because your cooldowns are pretty low. And if I would have repositioned myself and I would have gone for the Vera, you could have seen how low Butterfly was. If not, check the health boxes and look how much damage I have done to Butterfly. But I already have the 100 stacks, that means I have 800. Look at that, how much health I've got at the moment. I have even more health than Thane. Don't have that as much health as Lumbo, but Lumbo has a different health scaling. And this tank is sometimes you just have a feeling for something. You just know that some things are gonna happen, and I knew after I came back after my last death that they would go for the Abyssal Dragon. Telenas zones really nicely into that Moran, otherwise he could have gone away eventually. But we are able to steal the Abyssal Dragon from the enemy team while they started it, and that's important for gameplay as well. So, as I said, as Arduin, you want to go into the front line, you want to be that beefy tank who soaks up all the damage, and you want to spam your abilities, you want to use all the crowd control that you have that comes from your 1 and that comes from your 3. And the mixture out of that, the combination out of all your skills makes Arduin such a great hero, especially for beginners, because as his kit is quite nice, it kind of excuses many stupid things that you could do. Like, I did not hit that, doesn't matter, I have my shield, I can use my shield as some tool to back myself up again. 16-5. I do get the last item right now, which makes me even feel more comfortable, because right now I know that I can actually die and it doesn't really matter. Another dead Vera here, and this is the end of the game, and that's the end of my Arduin guide. I'm gonna show you the result page at last, but if you like guides like this, please subscribe to the channel, tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. It would be really helpful, and that would be great if you can tell me if that guide was something for you and if you learned something from it. I'm Void of Dusk Gaming, thank you guys, bye bye, have a nice evening.